If you're receiving SSI or SSDI right now, I need you to stop whatever you're doing and watch this video until the very end. Because what the Social Security Administration just announced for May 3rd, 2026 could change everything about how you receive your benefits. And I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying that because millions of seniors across this country are about to be affected by this new rule, and the overwhelming majority of them have absolutely no idea it's coming. Here's what frustrates me. The government doesn't exactly make it easy to understand these changes. They bury the important stuff in pages of legal language that nobody has time to read. That's exactly why I made this video. Because you deserve to know what's happening with your own money, in simple, straightforward language that actually makes sense. Now, depending on your situation, this new rule could mean more money in your pocket, a reduction in your monthly payment, or an action you need to take right away before a deadline hits you out of nowhere. And trust me, missing that window is not something you want to do. I've been covering Social Security updates for years, and this one is one of the most significant changes I've seen in a long time. Seniors who stay informed are always the ones who come out ahead. So if you want to protect your benefits and stay one step ahead, hit that subscribe button right now, and let's break this down together. Let's start at the beginning, because before we can talk about what's changing, you need to understand the foundation of what SSI and SSDI actually are, and why these programs matter so deeply to the people who depend on them every single month. Social Security Disability Insurance, or SSDI, is a program that you earn through years of working and paying into the Social Security system. It's designed for people who have developed a disability that prevents them from being able to work the way they used to. Think of it as an insurance policy you spent your entire working life paying into, and when you need it most, it's supposed to be there for you. The amount you receive is based on your lifetime earnings record, which means everyone's payment is a little bit different. Supplemental Security Income, or SSI, works differently. This one isn't based on your work history. It's a needs-based program designed for people who are aged, blind, or disabled, and who have very limited income and resources. A lot of seniors who never had the opportunity to build a strong work history, or who exhausted their savings due to medical expenses or life circumstances, rely on SSI as their primary source of financial support. For many people, it is the only thing standing between them and complete financial devastation. Now, both of these programs are administered by the Social Security Administration, and they are subject to regular rule changes, cost of living adjustments, and policy updates. Most of the time, those changes are minor, small tweaks that don't shake things up too dramatically. But every once in a while, the SSA announces something that genuinely shifts the ground beneath millions of people's feet. And that is exactly what we're dealing with right now, going into May 3rd, 2026. So let's talk about what this new rule actually involves, and why it's getting so much attention from advocates, policy experts, and seniors across the country. One of the most significant elements of this new SSA rule involves changes to how income and resources are calculated for SSI recipients. Now, if you're on SSDI, pay attention too, because some of these changes overlap and could still affect you depending on your specific situation. But for SSI recipients especially, this is a big deal. For decades, the SSA has used an incredibly complicated system to determine how much money a person on SSI can receive. Part of that system involves what's called in-kind support and maintenance, or ISM. Basically, ISM was a policy where if someone was helping you out, let's say a family member was letting you live with them rent-free, or friends were helping cover your grocery bills, the SSA would actually count that assistance as income and reduce your monthly SSI payment accordingly. That rule has frustrated advocates and beneficiaries for years, because it essentially penalized people for having a support system. It punished seniors for having family members who loved them enough to help out. The new rule that takes effect around May 3rd, 2026, changes how the SSA handles certain types of support. And for many people, this means their benefits could actually increase. If you've been receiving help from family or friends and having your SSI docked because of it, this change could put more money back in your pocket starting very soon. That is genuinely good news, and it's the kind of news I wish more seniors were hearing right now. But here's the part where things get a little more complicated, and this is where I need you to really pay attention. Even though the rule changes may increase benefits for some people, they also come with a responsibility on your part to make sure your information on file with the SSA is current and accurate. If your living situation has changed, if your income has changed, if anything about your financial picture looks different than it did when you last reported to the SSA, now is the time to get that sorted out. Because the new rules are only going to benefit you if the agency actually has the right information about your situation. Let's shift now and talk about something that affects both SSI and SSDI recipients, and that's the issue of payment accuracy and overpayments. If you've been in the Social Security system for any length of time, there's a chance you've heard the word overpayment and felt a chill run down your spine. An overpayment happens when the SSA determines that you received more money than you were technically entitled to, and then they come back to collect it. And the way they typically collect it is by reducing your future benefit payments, sometimes dramatically, until the overpaid amount is recovered. This has been one of the most painful and disruptive aspects of receiving Social Security benefits for millions of people. Seniors on fixed incomes suddenly find themselves with a fraction of their usual payment because the SSA says they owe money back, money that many of them already spent on rent, food, and medication. It creates a financial crisis that can take months or even years to recover from. The new rule includes updated guidance on how overpayments are handled, and there are some real improvements in here that you need to know about. For one thing, the SSA has adjusted the standard withholding rate for overpayment recovery. In the past, the agency could withhold up to 100% of your monthly benefit in some cases to recover an overpayment, meaning your check could go to zero while the debt was being paid back. The updated policy has changed the default withholding rate for new overpayment recovery cases, which means that even if you do have an overpayment situation, you should still be receiving a meaningful portion of your benefit while it's being resolved. Now, this doesn't mean overpayments are going away entirely. They're not. But it does mean that the agency is being required to handle these situations in a way that's less catastrophic for the people involved. And that's a step in the right direction. If you currently have an overpayment notice, or you've received communication from the SSA about money they say you owe, please do not ignore it. I know it's tempting to put that letter in a drawer and hope it goes away. It doesn't. What you want to do is contact the SSA directly, explain your situation, and ask about your options. You have the right to appeal an overpayment determination. You have the right to request a waiver if repaying the money would cause you significant financial hardship. And under the new rules, you have a little more breathing room in how that repayment is structured. But none of those protections can help you if you don't take action. Now let's talk about something that a lot of people watching this video are probably wondering about. And that's what this new rule means for people who are working while receiving benefits. Because there's a surprisingly large number of SSI and SSDI recipients who are either working part-time, trying to get back into the workforce, or exploring what's called a trial work period. For SSDI recipients, the Social Security Administration has long had a system in place that allows you to test your ability to work without immediately losing your benefits. This is called the trial work period, and it gives you a window of time where you can earn income and still receive your full SSDI payment, while the agency evaluates whether your work activity rises to the level of what they call substantial gainful activity. Once you've used up your trial work months, the rules around how your earnings affect your benefits become much more strict. The new rule clarifies and in some cases adjusts certain thresholds and procedures related to work activity. The substantial gainful activity amount, which is the earnings level that determines whether the SSA considers you to be working at a disqualifying level, has been updated for 2026. For most disability recipients, that threshold is now higher than it was in previous years, which means you can earn a little more from work before it triggers a review of your eligibility. That's actually a meaningful change for people who are trying to ease back into work without risking their financial security. For SSI recipients, the earned income exclusions, the amounts of money you're allowed to earn from work before your SSI payment starts getting reduced, remain in place. But the way certain income is counted has been refined under the new rule. The important thing to understand here is that working does not automatically disqualify you from receiving benefits, and the new rule actually reinforces that message. The SSA wants to encourage people to work if they're able to, and the updated guidelines are designed to make that path a little less financially treacherous than it's been in the past. Let me take a moment here to talk about something that doesn't get nearly enough attention, and that's the importance of your My Social Security online account. If you do not have one of these accounts set up, I want you to make that a priority this week. Not next month, not eventually, this week. Your My Social Security account is essentially your personal dashboard for everything related to your benefits. You can check your payment history, see your current benefit amount, review the earnings record that was used to calculate your benefits, update your direct deposit information, and, this is especially important right now, receive notices and communications from the SSA electronically. The agency has been moving more and more toward digital communication, which means if you don't have an online account, you might be missing important information that's being sent to you digitally rather than by mail. With the new rule going into effect, the SSA is also encouraging beneficiaries to use their online accounts to report changes in their circumstances. Things like a change in your living situation, a change in your income, a new marriage, or even a change in your medical condition can all affect your benefit amount. And the faster you report those changes, the less likely you are to end up in an overpayment situation down the road. Keeping your information current is not just a good idea. Under the rules, it's actually your legal responsibility as a beneficiary. If you're not comfortable setting up the account yourself, I would encourage you to reach out to a trusted family member, a local senior center, or even your local Social Security field office for help. The staff there can walk you through the process and make sure your account is set up correctly. Let's also spend a minute talking about what this all means if you're a caregiver or a family member of someone who receives SSI or SSDI. Because so many of the people watching videos like this one aren't the beneficiary themselves. They're the son or daughter, the spouse, the neighbor, the friend who is trying to help their loved one navigate a system that can feel overwhelming and impersonal. First of all, thank you. The work that caregivers do is invisible, undervalued, and absolutely essential. And part of that work is staying informed about changes like this one, so that the person you're caring for doesn't fall through the cracks. If your loved one receives SSI and you provide them with housing, food, or financial support, the rule changes around in-kind support and maintenance are directly relevant to your situation. As I mentioned earlier, the updated policies around how that type of support is counted as income could result in a benefit increase for your family member, but only if the SSA has accurate information on file. So one of the most helpful things you can do right now is make sure that the information the agency has about your loved one's living situation reflects reality. If you are an authorized representative for someone receiving Social Security benefits, meaning the SSA has officially recognized you as the person who helps manage their benefits, make sure that designation is still current and accurate. If circumstances have changed and a different person is now serving as the primary caregiver or financial manager, that needs to be updated with the SSA as well. These administrative details might seem minor, but they can have real consequences when it comes to how benefits are processed and paid. Now, I want to address something head-on, because I know there are people watching this video who are scared. Maybe you got a letter from the SSA recently, and you're not sure what it means. Maybe you've heard rumors from friends or seen headlines online that made you worry your benefits are going to be cut. Maybe you've been putting off dealing with something because it just feels too complicated and too overwhelming to face. I hear you, and I want you to know that fear is completely understandable. The Social Security system is complicated, the stakes are high, and the consequences of getting things wrong can be serious. But I also want you to know that burying your head in the sand is the one thing that will almost certainly make your situation worse. The SSA has processes in place to help people who are confused, who need assistance, or who believe an error has been made in their case. You have the right to appeal decisions you disagree with. You have the right to request a hearing before an administrative law judge if you believe your benefits were wrongly denied or reduced. You have the right to get help from a Social Security advocate or attorney, and in many cases, those representatives don't charge you anything unless they win your case. The system isn't perfect, not by a long shot, but it does have built-in protections for beneficiaries, and those protections only work if you use them. So whatever your situation is right now, the most important thing you can do is take action. Call the SSA, visit your local office, get help from an advocate. Do something, because doing nothing almost always leads to a worse outcome. Before we wrap up, I want to give you a few very practical things you should be doing right now in response to this new rule. And I want you to think of these not as a checklist, but as a conversation. The kind of conversation you'd have with a trusted friend who happened to know a lot about Social Security. The first thing is simply to verify that your contact information with the SSA is up to date. Your address, your phone number, your direct deposit information, all of it should be current. If the agency can't reach you, they can't help you. The second thing is to take stock of your current living situation and financial picture. Has anything changed in the past year or two that you haven't reported to the SSA? A new roommate, a change in income, an inheritance, a new source of support. If so, now is the time to report it, proactively, before it becomes a problem. The third thing is to actually read any correspondence you've received from the SSA recently. I know those letters can feel intimidating, but they contain important information. If you don't understand something in a letter, call the SSA or bring it to someone who can help you interpret it. And finally, stay informed. Subscribe to channels and resources that keep you updated on Social Security news in plain language. Share this video with someone you know who might be affected. Because the more informed our community is, the better equipped we all are to protect what we've earned and what we're entitled to. The May 3rd rule change is real, it's significant, and it's already here. For some of you, it means more money. For some of you, it means taking action to avoid losing money. And for all of you, it means paying attention to a system that affects your daily life in very real and very concrete ways. You've worked hard. You've contributed. You've navigated challenges that most people will never fully understand. And you deserve to have someone in your corner who will tell you the truth about what's happening and what you can do about it. That's what this channel is here for. So if you haven't subscribed yet, do that right now. And hit the notification bell so you're always the first to know when something important like this comes up. Leave a comment below and let me know what questions you have about this new rule. I read every single one, and your questions often become the inspiration for future videos. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay proactive, and take care of yourself. Because you matter, and so do your benefits.